Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cheap Seats. It's a Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. I
Is it
think
really?
all that's right. I think all that's right, like I said.
No idea.
This is the third episode of the Cheap Seats. And I just want to say for our audio listeners, our video listeners, watchers, whatever they are can already see who our guest is today. So before I introduce him, I'm going to go ahead and just for everybody, thank you for watching the first couple episodes of the Cheap Seats and the first couple episodes of Nobody's Home as well on this channel and our Clip Out channel as well. The videos have been doing really well, so just keep doing what you're doing. Like, share, subscribe, tell everybody. Keep sharing those clips when they go out on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. The followers are building, subscribers are building, so we're gonna keep this rolling out. Good community stuff's coming up and going on, so we're gonna keep that going on. And our video watchers can already see my guest here. So for our audio people, he's back. He's back. His seat is just as warm as he left it. Max Cianci joining me on another episode of the Cheap Seats.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's truly a pleasure to be here this Wednesday. Insert X day of the week.
Thanks for joining us. And whenever this gets posted as well, so we'll sound nuts no matter what, most likely. But thank you for coming back. And like I said before on an episode, the Cheap Seats is really going to be about, you're going to see a lot of new faces. Like the first two episodes were completely different cards, and Max is coming back for this third episode, just the two of us, kind of a more intimate setting.
Intimate's a good word.
But you'll see things like that. You'll see things like that fluctuate throughout the Cheap Seats existence on YouTube and otherwise. It's going to be a different show each time. It's not always going to be the same thing. It's always going to be the same flavor. We're always going to kick you something different and kick you something new and cool. So me and Max decided to hop on this tonight, and we're going to get into everything.
It's going to be deep cuts here tonight.
This is a no holds bar kind of thing.
It is all out there.
So before we get to the nitty gritty, I know that a lot of us have been, we're still up in that quarantine business. We're still kind of doing our thing, finding our stride at home. Maybe Max, you did something recently with a friend of yours, a filmmaker friend of yours, and you actually whipped up a short film that you released today, a few hours ago, actually.
I did, yes. It was a lot of fun. We just posted it today. We had been working on it for about 2 weeks, and it was a lot of fun. It was good.
So what was the process like? Because was this something that you had, like, you were just like, you were sitting around and you were thinking, well, I need to do something with the time I have, because that's kind of like, that's all in my hands? Or was this something that like was kind of festering before, and this just was like the perfect time to do it?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of all of that. My roommate and I went to college together, and we both went to Point Park, so we had both done, made things our whole time there. And I think there were many nights where we were just like sitting here and just like, it's been a while since we did something, and we would talk about it, but then it was, the next day would happen and it would be like, oh, it's, every day's Saturday. But
Right.
it was really just a matter of like, I, went for a walk. I saw if you watch it, it's like about that, the window at the beginning, and it came up with like a very loose idea of the story, and I brought it to Anthony Peduzzi, my roommate, and he, like, we both kind of workshopped it and like put two ideas together, and we were like, let's just do it tomorrow. And I think that's like the main thing, is just not overthinking it when it comes to like especially like something, creative. Like, just do it, because if not, you're just going to end up talking yourself out of it. So we just did it the next day, and we shot it for about 3 days, and then we did like the post-production and everything. But mainly to answer your question, because I'm gonna do that eventually when I get done talking about myself. The process was just a matter of like, we're really bored, let's just actually do something and like stick to it, and like by the time we're there, it's too late to kind of talk ourselves out of it, sort of thing. Like, let's just do it. So yeah, it was kind of like that.
Yeah, that's great. And And I love kind of hearing you talk about what you were putting into it, because just watching it myself, I mean, I watched it when we were texting earlier, and then I just watched it again before we hopped on here, with with a pair of headphones on, just like kind of
Yeah.
sitting there with my screen. And I yeah, man, just like the everything you guys did, from like the sound design of it to the visual aspect of it. I don't want to give anything away. I do got you this. By the way, the link for this is going to be in the description. So
Yeah.
make sure you guys check out that. We're not going to give away any spoilers, so don't worry about. If you'd like to jump over and watch it now, go for it. Or come on back, or wait it out till we're done here. But yeah, man. I just really enjoyed what you put into it, and just like you said, like the creative fee. Don't sit on it. Just like go ahead and do it
Yeah.
and get it out there. And by just doing it and getting it out there, you guys came up with something really, really nice. So
Yeah.
yeah, go watch that for sure, and go give it a whole like storm. Um, I they'd appreciate it. So yeah, man, that's really fantastic stuff. Are you is there anything else cooking? Is that something, because that even genre, do you even want to talk like genre wise,
Oh yeah.
how you wanted to approach this?
Yeah, I mean, we had neither of us had ever done like a horror, thing before. Like I did like a little like thriller thing, but never like, horror. So that was like one of the big things, one of the big pushes for doing it. And also to talk about like audio, like you brought up audio, Anthony Peduzzi, my roommate, like he knows Audition, the software that we use, and I kind of like he taught me quite a bit about that, but he had a heavy hand in like all of the really great stuff that happen with that, because if you watch it, like there's really no dialogue, so it ends
Right,
up, and there's no score, so it ends up being where audio has to fill a lot of those gaps. And it was just a matter of like sitting down and being like, okay, like we're gonna take a week on this and like really work super hard on it. So yeah, people should watch it, and it's 4.5 minutes,
it's
like,
4.5
you
minutes.
know come on.
You got that time.
You're looking at your phone, at nothing for 4.5 minutes. Like, that's another thing. Like, how many hours do you spend looking at your phone? And if you just like think back and you're like, what did I look at? Like
What was I looking
nothing.
at?
You like look at Instagram, and then I
Right.
feel like I'm on like The View right now. You look at Instagram, and then you exit it out, and then you pull it back up again, and then you look at the same stuff. But anyway, I digress. Check it out if you want to. We spend a lot of time.
No, you're absolutely right. That's like a sixth of a Degrassi episode. So it's what are you what are you waiting for
Yeah.
at this point?
You could have watched this thing for like, I don't know, what is 450 Degrassi episodes? You could have watched this film probably
Long time, 200 something.
yeah, for about 200 hours.
Do something. Yeah, absolutely right. That's like half of a Quibi. If you guys are doing Quibi right now, are you doing Quibi?
I don't know what Quibi is at all, and I feel like
Yeah,
I'm feeling all my 23 years when I say that, but I don't know what Quibi is. I saw the commercial where
it's
it's like
just it's Quibi is quick bites,
quick
and
bites. Like,
and the idea is like 10 minutes or less. I think
oh
they're
really?
like 10 minutes or less for these videos and like chunks. Some of them, I think the one that Sophie Turner is doing, don't quote me on this. I haven't gotten to Quibi right now either. This is not an ad for Quibi. We don't
It sounds like it. Where's
we
that money at,
don't,
Quibi?
we will take your money, Quibi, but right now you're not paying us anything. So bump y'all. Um I think the one Sophie Turner's doing is like a movie, and it's like you're just watching it 10 minutes at a time.
So
Um,
like most movies for young people.
yes, and then like there's also things like a Chance the Rapper revival of Punked. So it's like I don't know,
Punked like the Ashton Kutcher show?
Punked like the Ashton Kutcher
Oh, nice.
show.
Cool.
It is back. So I don't know. Um, I don't know, man. I think that it's probably some. I mean, they're doing 3 free months. This does sound like an app. They're doing
Oh,
three.
you have to pay for it. It's like
It's a
service.
subscription. Yeah. It's like a yeah. It's like they're offering right now. They're 3 months for free. So
Wow.
basically, and I think the content is weekly, which
Mhm.
is fine. But I would imagine like I don't know, the Netflix model works where it's like, hey, release it all at the same time.
Well, it's
People are
interesting.
gonna
Sorry, I mean to interrupt you.
no, go
It's
for it.
interesting because it sounds like it's like a platform where, like, you brought up, was it Sophie Turner?
Yes,
That she can like just make something and put it out there and not necessarily have to go through like the different, rings of producing something and distributing it. Like she
it
can just like put it out.
it surely looks like they're going through the rings of like it surely
Yes.
looks like highly produced.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
I
all
see.
like all it's all like highly produced content, and
That's
it's like
interesting.
the thing she's doing. I had the image of a poster in my head of her in a plane, and the plane may be on fire. I'm not entirely sure. I could be confusing that with Final Destination or Flight or Sully
Interesting.
or
Yeah.
any of these other films. But yeah, I mean, I guess the idea is like, hey, while you're on the go or while you got time, like instead of like fitting in like a 22-minute episode of a show or like a 48-minute episode of a show, watch this 10-minute thing, and like you'll have
Yeah.
like that's all you need type of
Makes
thing.
sense, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. As far as I don't know, I mean, I know you were talking to me recently about like Shutter, that you've been
Yeah.
getting into. Has that been like kind of what you've been watching as far as streaming goes? Has there been other stuff you would break it off into?
Yeah, yeah. I've been watching Shutter, a bit. Like there's been a couple like standout films. Like there's a movie called Dogtooth that's really good, and it's like the basic premise is a family that's sort of. I actually don't want. It's that's kind of a spoiler. It's a great movie. And also, George Romero, like a Pittsburgh movie, Night of the Living Dead. That's like
Yes.
that's an incredible movie, and it's classic, and it's like it's really interesting. Like if you take the time to watch it, like it's much more than like a zombie movie. It's
Hmm.
like very much, because predominantly the movie takes place in a house that they're all stuck inside. So, it very much becomes like a drama between all of these people that are inside of it. And it was cool. It's really cool. But yeah, Shutter's great. And also just like I'm lucky, my roommate has a bunch of like DVDs in the Criterion collection, which is also great. So
Nice.
a lot of like movies that are a little harder to find. But yeah. What have you been watching, sir? Let me
Um.
let me take over this for a minute.
Yeah. Just about because you were mentioned Night of the Living Dead. I was looking through the list of movies shot in Pittsburgh, just in general, just like out of curiosity. Two things I took away from that. One, on this back end, like I would say from I guess last year to 20
19, 18.
not earlier, even like maybe like 2010. There's a lot more movies shot here than I like realized or even like knew after seeing them,
Yeah.
since like 2010 really. But and then the second takeaway was that not until like the definitely like in the eight, like there were those certain movies like you have like your Tiger Warsaw that actually like shot closer to us.
Yeah, that was in Sharon.
um
That was in Sharon, PA.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then you have like your movies like that, and like maybe like the '80s or '90s. But then, like for the most part, like movies didn't really start like being filmed here till like 2000s.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got your like Inspector Gadgets and shit.
Yeah,
Um,
I forgot about that. They used like the PPG building, right? For like the
they,
evil lair or
they
whatever.
did. I'm pretty sure they used. I want to say the bridges that they used in the climax of the movie were the bridges in like the Roberto Clemente. I don't know if it was the Roberto Clemente, but I think that one of those three bridges.
Yeah, one of
Um,
the yeah, I know which ones you mean.
I think that I know the climax of Inspector Gadget takes place on a bridge. I'm not sure where. I have to go back and watch Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean those like those types of things. So it's definitely it's cool to see just like the different. I'll have to bring up a list and kind of go through some of them. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's great. Like I know quite a bit of it has to do with like the Pennsylvania film tax incentive, which
right.
if you don't know about that and you're interested, it's definitely worth a Google. But that pulled quite a few productions in, and I think like M. Night Shyamalan, because he shoots like pretty much predominantly in Philadelphia, had a lot to do with pushing for the Pennsylvania tax credit. I may be wrong on that, and maybe I am, but I know quite a bit's
I
changed
can bring him into the. I can bring
in
him
the
into
last.
the
Yeah, yeah. You know what?
screen.
I was gonna call him, but if
Do you
you
want me
want
to
to do
bring M Night in?
it's fine.
Do you want me to bring M Night in?
But yeah, there's been like to me it seems like a big influx of projects coming here. Like we had a Jeff Daniels show that was coming in called Rust, which was
Yeah.
supposed to start in March, obviously didn't. But that was going to go until the summer, and I heard about like something else that was coming this summer as well that was going to have a long run. So, as far as I knew, we were going to have work for the foreseeable future, like the next year or whatever. But obviously, all of that has changed. But yeah, it's super nice to have like productions coming to the area.
Yeah, and it's really good to I think the last thing that was happiest season was kind of like the last active movie here. The Clea
Yeah,
Duvall movie with
yeah. Oh,
Kristen Stewart
yeah,
and
happiest season. Yep.
I think because they even shot around like Grove City.
Yeah, they
So
did.
they were doing their thing and getting all over the place as well
Yep.
with that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean it is great to see things come up to the area. If you had like a dream scenario, um,
Oh, I think I have an answer to this.
what sort of project would you like to work on in this area?
In this, okay, well, I'll tell you a rumor that I heard. Whenever Sweet
I
Girl,
like rumors.
I know. Whenever Sweet Girl opened up, I heard a rumor that like Peter Jackson had come into like the production office and was like asking around. Like I don't know what he'd ask, but that would be the dream scenario. That if Peter Jackson like came here and did like, you know,
Another King Kong movie.
orcs hanging out under a bridge or something, like another King Kong movie, I'd be down. I don't care. But yeah, I mean, that would be great. But also, like, I think it'd be super fun, like that Seth Rogen movie, pickled movie or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was in town like a year or so ago, and like something
Mm,
like that would be really fun to work on. Where you're like, I wasn't on it, but to be in an
mm,
environment where it's like you have all these funny people around who are kind of like, I'm sure, like riffing on set or whatever. Like
yeah.
it would be fun. I've heard like comedy movies can be a lot of fun to work on. So
I got
comedy
to be
movies,
on. I got to be on set for that for a few days.
yeah. That's how was that? How was your
As an,
experience on
it
that?
was pretty cool, man. I mean, I got pretty light light work for the time that I was there. I think I was there for 4 days, maybe 3 days.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it was pretty nice, man. I mean, the second day I was there, I was in a bar the whole time, and they were doing something in a bar. So I mean, it was pretty lackadaisical kind of stuff.
Were you
Um,
background or were you
I
production?
was I was background for that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was good, man. It was a good time. It was you could definitely and like you said, like in that comedy environment, you're definitely like hearing the riffing and like the different like the ad libbing and all that good kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was a really cool experience to see, especially like Seth Rogen work on the movie. I've been loving Seth Rogen movies since the beginning of time.
Yeah, I know.
So that's pretty good stuff. Yeah, pretty cool all around. So Peter Jackson,
Oh yeah.
that's a cool thing. Just like flat out, just like even like I like thinking of Peter Jackson in the city of Pittsburgh didn't even like doesn't even like compute with my
I
mind
know.
necessarily.
It doesn't
Like,
even
if you think
register.
about like what would Peter Jackson do? Like, what would he like if he had to
Honestly,
come here? If he
I
had to
feel like
come here,
I feel like he'd love it. There's
yeah, he
like
probably
there's
would.
hills, little vistas, and everything. Like Wellington is similar. I think he'd like it. So that would be awesome if he came into like
That'd be pretty badass.
just because like with him like I don't know. I love the man dearly. So just to work with him or to work with any director that you or I like really love, just to see them like put something together would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. It doesn't seem like I think our hopes for movies coming out for a little bit need to hold on hope for a while, but we'll see
Yeah,
what's going on.
yeah, I know. Quibi. I'm guessing Quibi's gonna hit well. They're just gonna have to lower the production value a little bit.
Honestly, dude, if they, I mean, Quibi and I don't, and like you have your all these streaming services like, we don't know how much stuff that these services are holding on to,
Yeah.
things that they've like made and they have like absurd release dates for, and that they're just like, oh, we can push this up.
You know what I was thinking too, like in the vein of that was like whenever Tiger King came out, people were like, oh, like I wonder what else Netflix has in like the the quarantine folder on the master laptop in the executive's office. Like there's
There
no way.
probably is
Do you
one,
think
man.
though? Do you think that there's like a database of like if something happens and all Americans are going to be inside for a couple months? You know what I mean? Like
I definitely think that Netflix has probes. And Netflix, I'm not even joking, dude, because there's
yeah, who knows?
because Tiger King is like, at the end of the day, Tiger King is fine, but
Mhm.
Netflix releases like Netflix has good original content.
They do. Yeah, they have great
They
stuff.
have like pretty good like
They
original
have great
content.
stuff. Netflix, I love your stuff. Thank you.
Netflix has the best original content. What's their slogan? Do they have a slogan? Stay at
No.
home, bitches.
No.
Uh, they they have good original content, and they like. I don't think that the Tiger King popularity was organic, is what I'm saying. Like, I think there's definitely a good chance that hashtags were flooded, or because it was just perfect timing. It came out of nowhere. I saw reactions about it online before I ever saw advertisements about it on like a Netflix app. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I just think that because it came on too hard, it came on too quick, and it's like they definitely release something like every week or every
Yeah.
couple of days.
And
Um, Maybe Tiger King does just have that staying power, but I don't know.
I think it definitely was a perfect storm thing where
Yeah.
people love the like crime, true crime documentary stuff, and like people are inside, but it's interesting you bring up that point because I kind of felt like I saw that with the Mandalorian with like the meme
Mm,
marketing. You know what I mean? Like and it's
interesting.
effective. I mean, it's effective marketing. I don't know anything about this, but like clearly it worked. The Mandalorian blew up, and I thought the first two episodes were good, and then I you know wasn't crazy about the rest of it, but I think it was really well marketed, and I think Tiger King is sort of in the same vein. Like they just thrived in, the whole just all the memes that were created, and like it just kind of becoming like a commonplace,
Mm.
a house. What is that called? Like a house. I'm butchering. I'm blowing this, man. I'm totally blowing this. Like a house word. What is that? What is that expression?
A
A household
house.
name. A household name. A
There you
household.
go.
I'm nailing it. But yeah, anyway, next topic. Let's
No, interesting you said there. Mandalorian was one of the things I kind of had in the back of my head there on Star Wars Day, which this may have been planned. They're releasing a Mandalorian, like how it was made behind the scenes kind of thing, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah,
This is
it
the
looks
first time.
incredible. How they made it looks like insane with like everything
Oh
they put
yeah, it's a
the
pretty
digital
show.
backdrops and stuff like that. It looks like really impressive.
I mean, it's a really pretty looking show. This is the first time I've heard this take from you about Mandalorian.
Oh
I
yeah.
guess we haven't talked about Mandalorian, you and
No,
I,
we can talk about
together. So let's I
I
mean let's get in let's get into it, dude. Let's fight it out.
I I honestly don't know your thoughts. So I'm coming into this like objectively or whatever.
No, yeah, interestingly enough, I love the first two episodes, just like you said,
Yeah.
and then noticeably something was different about the third
Yes.
episode.
And
But I'll let you go ahead and touch on
it's
your
been a minute.
Mandalorian thoughts.
It's
Yeah,
been a
yeah.
minute because
I
like
I,
I
I
think
will admit that I haven't rewatched any of the episodes since.
this is really going to get the views. The 7 month later Mandalorian discussion. But you know what? We're here. So let's talk about it.
Let's do it. Yeah, I
I
want to hear
thought
this. I
I
want to
thought
hear this.
the first episode I loved. I thought
Okay.
like I remember watching it thinking like, holy crap, like this is really going to be an incredible show. And I vaguely remember because at the end of the first episode is when they reveal Baby Yoda or whatever, and then like Baby Yoda was cool, like the practical effect was cool, like I thought it looked great, whatever. But you know, it was I remember the storyline that I was like, I don't know about the show anymore. Was like whenever Mando was somewhere and he left somebody with a hitman or something, like a bounty he had taken. He just made like a terrible decision. It was a series I thought of, like Mando making these like super questionable decisions. And
Sure.
I'm like whenever they went to the native planet and the
Yeah.
plan was to leave Baby Yoda there, and like clearly they would know he's there. He's leaving him with a village of people, you know.
Mhm.
Clearly the Empire could just come and take Baby Yoda. And I was like, that was the plan. And then at the end of it, they're like, oh no, we're just gonna take him anyway, like take him back because something happened. And it's like, how long have I been watching this stuff? You know, like, and I don't mean to knock it. Like I hate talking negatively about this because I'm like, I can't make something like that. But it's like, you know,
They're
I
never gonna let you work in Star Wars now. So
yeah, I know, but I wish it would have taken a little bit of like a different turn. But the first episode was incredible, and like I really dug those first two episodes.
yeah, I'll just say that I mean I love the first two episodes of the show. I was really hooked. The third episode, noticeably, yeah, something changed. I don't remember exactly the circumstances of that episode. I'm not sure if that was like the young kind of gunslinger kid, or if that was a little bit later on
Yeah,
in the series. But overall, I really enjoyed it, just like the way it looked,
yeah,
the way that video game is the phrase that gets thrown around a lot. It was a lot
yeah,
like a video game. It was like he was going from different checkpoint to checkpoint,
yeah,
meeting the necessary characters, and then kind of going on to like the next mission.
yeah,
That was an aspect of it that I enjoyed because that leaves room for us to not necessarily to us meet good characters, meet like rich characters, but
yeah,
not have to
absolutely,
be attached to them.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
but what I didn't like was like I don't need Bill Burr. I
I
don't need
know, that was hilarious. I was like, what is Bill Burr doing in this?
I don't need every line that Bill Burr says to be like a dig at like a Star Wars thing. Like I don't need him to like make fun of Canto Bite or like make fun of like the fact that stormtroopers can't. The stormtrooper like that line was funny. Like I think his first couple, I was like, oh yeah, like I get it because that's like a Star Wars thing. Like the stormtrooper, he's like, I'm not a stormtrooper. Like, all right, that's fine, Bill Burr. And then he's like, "Oh, that ship looks like it came off a Canto Bite," and it's like, "Okay, I get it. People didn't like the Last Jedi." Every line he said was just like, "Hey, you guys know about the Star Wars hate, like,
Yeah,
get it?" And that whole episode was kind of like weird and floggy. But I overall, basically, I this is something that I am excited to see carry on. Like the
yeah,
second
I am too.
season, Sasha Banks, WWE superstar Sasha Banks was casted in the season.
Oh,
So that's like something that's like, really exciting for me. Rosario Dawson was cast as Ahsoka Tano from the Clone Wars series.
I
Um,
saw that. Yeah, that'll be good.
so I think they're planning live action things. I love John Favreau. I'm a big John Favreau. We should
I am
probably just
too, man.
talk
He's
about
like,
John Favreau a
he's
little
on
bit too, because he's like, I mean, the dude's resume is pretty fucking sick.
it. Yeah,
I mean, when you look at it,
I.
he's the guy. He's the reason. He's the reason the MCU is the MCU.
Mhm.
Um, he's and Chef is one of the prettiest movies I've ever seen. I love
Yeah.
Chef.
I
I
think we
can watch.
watched. I think we watched Chef together.
I think we may
I
have.
feel like
Yeah,
we did.
I saw it. I definitely saw it in theaters 4 times. Um,
That's way too many.
what?
That's what Chef's good, but like, what did you miss? What did you miss on the second run?
No, dude, it was fucking like the culture in that movie is rich, dude. I love it.
Yeah,
The Cubanos, dude. Listen, let me tell you just about Chef. That everything in that movie is just like stupendous.
I just want to say we're killing the segues. It's like just just killing the segues. Anyway,
Dude, they
go
get
ahead.
it. They
Go ahead.
understand.
I needed to point it out. I needed to like break the rhythm of
They
it.
understand what's going on with. They understand what's going on with
I
Chef.
know. I know.
They making Cubanos. Man, he was married to Sofia Vergara, and then he started dating Scarlett Johansson
In real
because
life?
it's just like no in the movie.
Oh, I can't
Because
remember.
it's like because John Favreau starred, wrote, and directed. I did the exact same thing.
That's like like Clint Eastwood in the what in the Mule whenever there's like two threes.
Oh my
And
god.
it's like okay.
Let's cap off. Let's cap off the Mandalorian talk. Let's make sure we wrap that up. I'm all right.
Yeah.
Anything else on Mandalorian?
No, that's all I got to say.
All right.
I'm looking forward. Disney, I loved Mandalorian. I'm looking forward to the next season.
Also looking forward to next season. Dude, can we talk about the Mule?
I'll talk about. Listen, I got time. I'll talk about the Mule.
Mule?
I'll talk about Tooth Fairy Chase. Okay, I'm free. The Mule.
I do have a question about
The
that.
Mule is fine. You know,
Fine. The Mule is dog shit, and I hope Clint Eastwood sees this, dude. The Mule is trash.
Listen, there is something to be said. The man is 90 years old, right? And he.
My point. So what are you doing?
Directed and
Roger Deakins is 90. He's shooting up.
You're right. That's fine, but like I give Roger Deakins plenty of respect too. I'm just saying, like you know.
Listen,
but you're right. You should look at it objectively as like a movie or whatever. But that makes me just like, damn, the man's 90.
I love Clint Eastwood.
Unforgiven.
I was just gonna say, Unforgiven.
It's fantastic.
I think is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Dude, Gran Torino's great. Gran Torino, fantastic. I thought it was fantastic.
I like Gran Torino a lot too, man. For if you like racial slurs, Gran Torino's awesome.
Okay, Unforgiven. Unforgiven is great.
Did that come out in 1992 as well? Just like
Unforgiven, probably.
But yeah, I love Unforgiven. But like the Mule, dude, that movie is trash, bro. The Mule is like the most garbage. It's not even like it's not even like, all right, this is like he's kind of got his thing and he's kind of doing his thing. It's just like Bradley Cooper's walking around, moseying around like an idiot.
Bradley Cooper was in it.
Yeah, he's the antagonist.
I forgot. I know.
He's walking around, moseying around like an idiot, not knowing what's going on. This supposed to be this great cop detective. Clint Eastwood's bumbling around, 90 years old, running drugs, having sex with loads of women. Come on.
I know, that part was funny. Where isn't there two?
There were two.
There's one in the motel, and it's like, okay, there's gonna be an isolated thing, like whatever. And then at the other house, at like the drug house or whatever, he does it again, and it's like, jeez, man, like
getting titty, bro.
What's got it? I don't know. But
in that, you said, is there
take a breath.
Did he do? Was he in trouble with the? He was just in trouble with the curve. Do you remember that movie, or did he direct that too? Baseball movie.
Isn't it Moneyball? What was Moneyball? Was Moneyball?
Moneyball was not. That was.
Moneyball was. What was his name? Man, we're killing this.
Peter Jackson.
Podcast with two guys who vaguely know things, asking each other questions.
Specific question. I should know. I love Moneyball, dude. Moneyball is like, it wasn't Gus Van Sant, but it was
Moneyball. We got to get out of this.
Aaron Sorkin, didn't he write it?
I think it was Aaron Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin wrote it, and then I'm not sure. I can't remember. Mike Flanagan didn't, or somebody did. I don't know who directed it. We'll figure that out.
I don't know. We're doing great.
We're doing a good job, though. We're keeping it. We're doing it. We're on the subject, man. Do you I was actually talking I inquired my mother about this. Shout out to Deanna. Love you, Mom. Do you remember the first movie that like you were taken to? And do you also remember, if you don't, do you remember like the movie that you like first remember, like I'm a human person and I'm like going to the movies?
I remember one of the first movies I was taken to, and I believe it was Cinema 8, which is in Hermitage, Pennsylvania, just recently shut down, which is a crying shame. Chase spent some time at Cinema 8. It was
I was locked up there for a couple of years.
But I remember an instance of watching Spider-Man. I think it was 2. I think it was Spider-Man 2. I went with my mom, I believe, and I left. And I remember, whenever that came, I don't know, but I remember.
2002 or something like
I
that.
think you're right.
2003.
I remember leaving the movie theater and she was like holding my hand, and I like took my hand away because I was like, no, like I'm a man now. Like I don't know what about Tobey Maguire activated my masculinity at that young age, but or what I thought I had of it. But that was my first like visceral memory of seeing a movie, and I know how sad that is, but it's the truth.
No, that's not wrong. 2004 it was because I was just looking. 2004 is like a sick movie for a
Yeah.
year for movies rather. That I no, I because when I was like thinking about it, I talked to my mom. She said The Wood was the first movie that like she can remember taking me to.
The
Um,
Wood. What is that?
it's a Rick Famuyiwa movie. Um, I don't know if it was his first movie. It was definitely one of. It's the same dude that directed Dope.
Oh, okay. I
It's a movie about three friends growing up in Inglewood, California. It's a really good movie.
hmm.
It's probably came out and I want to say 98. I want to say like 98 or like 97. So it was just like a relatively early
Oh
tenure
wow.
for
So you were like
me
super
to.
young.
But the first movie experience that I like there's tons that I remember, but the first one that I remember like caring that I was like at a movie and that like needing to be like
I
was
know what you're gonna say.
Madagascar.
Oh,
Madagascar. What do you think I was gonna say?
I thought you were gonna say Avatar. What the hell, Madagascar?
Avatar was 2008, dude.
I
You think I
know,
would?
but the way you were building that up, we saw that together. I remember that
We did, but we
specific.
didn't see Madagascar together.
I don't know. I do not recall the first time I saw Madagascar, but I would say like the first time I really remember. Yeah, I'm talking to the guy behind you. I, the
Bruce Willis.
the first time I like one of the like visceral memories of like being in a movie theater and knowing that I'm watching something that should like be in a theater or whatever was like Avatar, as like lame as that sounds, but I remember seeing it and being like, oh man, like 3D, like done a different
Yeah.
way. And that was with you. And other than that, like I remember seeing robots in the film Burned, and that was like a cinematic experience because we had to like leave the theater. But other than that, it's bad how those memories get like muddled, because I would love to have like clear memories of stuff like that, the first movies you see or whatever.
I know that our friend of the show, friend of us, Adam Koska. I'm not sure when he started exactly, but I know that at least for the past couple of years, he's been saving his movie stub, putting him in like a book, and then writing down the date and like who we saw the movie with and like a note about it, just like kind of keep track, which is a really great thing. I always like try to think of doing that. Maybe that's something I'll give a try. But I think that's a really cool thing, and I would love to just go back to see like when I go through lists on either IMDb or Wikipedia or whatever, just like looking at the movies that were released in that year, top to bottom.
Yeah.
You can always like kind of get an idea of like, okay, I was in middle school here, so this is probably the group of friends I with, or this was senior year, weekend of like this thing, or I was that way at school, so I probably went with like this crowd of people type of thing. Just cool to like look into that and see what goes on in that respect, because the two of us, we've probably seen
Many movies.
we've seen dozens of movies together, just like in the past few years. So that's something I really wish I could just like go back and kind of like see. We used to go pull back to backs, sometimes back to
I
back to
know.
backs,
I know. I remember.
and in crazy fashion.
Those were wonderful times.
Was that? Do you have like a favorite era of going to the movies? Whether it was just like I
Yeah.
can I can go, whether it was like a more of a leisure thing or whether it was more like a business thing. You know?
Oh, you know me. I'm always business. But if I had to say like my leisure experiences, like I like remember 2008 being like such a great year for movies. I don't know why, and I can't like name off the top of my head like movies that came out in 2008. I think The Hangover came out in
I can think
2008.
of a
Maybe
scenario.
like Pineapple Express, whatever.
Pineapple Express and Step Brothers came out within the same month of each other, and I remember a specific incident. It was you, myself, and another one of my friends. I believe it was Tyler.
That sounds right.
Were pitted at the theater, and it was like, okay, we can go. We can go watch. We're 10 minutes late for Step Brothers, so we can go peep that, or we're 5 minutes early for Pineapple Express.
What an age.
So,
What an age.
and we ended up
Freaking
seeing Pineapple
teenagers,
Express
you
that
know.
day. Just like kids, man. Just like 13-year-olds or whatever it was.
But yeah, that was fun. That was like a fun time whenever like all those movies were coming out and we were too young to see them. So we still had like the fun of like having to sneak into them and stuff like that. Which I think that's like a a nice little thing. Like I remember sneaking into The Hangover with Tyler and like we had like two seats because it was pretty much sold out, like, over to the side. And like to this day, that is one of the most fun like movie watching experiences I've ever had. And it's like not even entirely because of the movie, but because, the circumstances as well. But I remember that time period just being like a really fun time for like being a kid going to the movies, whatever, even though it's like, it wasn't like we were watching like, crazy stuff, but to us it was like fun. Like whenever what was that movie?
Cowboys and
Super
Aliens.
bad. Like I remember like hiding in Tyler's basement watching Super Bad. Like it was like we were like watching some top secret video, but just like little moments like that are like fun to reminisce on.
Mhm. Yeah, for me as well. I remember the biggest probably theater experience was a more recent one. Probably I think 2013 was when this movie came out. This Is the End.
I
I
remember we
remember
saw that
seeing
together
that.
too, I think.
We did. I also saw
Yeah.
that movie. I think I saw the movie 3 times in theaters. Each time was an absolute riot.
Yeah.
That movie was lovely, lovely
Yeah.
to see in the theaters. It was an absolute magical every time
And I
we
remember
watched the theaters.
I remember talking to you about that because you kind of thought, because that's like right when This Is 40 came out, like some other like sort of like very like meta movies, like because you were thinking like, oh, like this is going to be like the next thing where all of
Yeah,
these comedies are going to be like very meta and very, about themselves or whatever. And then I remember it kind of like didn't end up taking that path for whatever reason, but there was like a small group of films, This Is 40, I feel like being like the tentpole of it.
you have like that, and then you have your Wet Hot American Summer revivals
Yeah,
that are like so meta and like so inside of each other,
yeah, yeah.
type of
And
things like that.
what was the movie that Judd Apatow did with Adam Sandler
Funny
and
people.
Funny People? Like Funny People's another example of that too, where it was like it seemed like a little cluster of movies that was like kind of like, maybe like starting a little movement or whatever. But that's another like kind of cool time for like films, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. And I don't. Yeah, that style definitely didn't take off. I think it could be. I think it could be successful still. Like I always thought, a good sequel to This Is the End would to make it about the next class of comedians, like your Adam Sandler's, like your SNL core guys, or maybe like even take it a step further to like your people that have been so removed from comedy for like a while, like Tom Hanks,
Yeah,
who like that's Splash and The Burbs and The Money Pit, but then
yeah,
like his last few movies have been playing these real like life people,
yeah.
Mr. Rogers, Sullenberger,
Mhm,
Captain Phillips, things like that.
mhm.
Even making it so like they see the success of This Is the End, and they say, well, we can do that too,
Yeah,
and we can like make a movie ourselves and kind of have it be about that process. I think they could easily do a string of those movies and keep them inside of each other and not. I think that I don't know if I've listened to the comment of the audio commentary for that movie and like kind of just like the behind the scenes stuff for This Is the End, and it talked like the stuff that they were arguing about. That's like just like real stuff that they've like needed to, like they've wanted to air out, like real things that they've kind of like or have been inside themselves. So just keep a certain element of realness to it
yeah.
and some power to it. I would love to see something like that again. I love that movie.
Yeah, I agree. And like hopefully, that's a good idea where it would be like another generation of people doing that same thing because the movie was like super successful if I,
Mhm.
remember correctly. So hopefully they do. And yeah, that would be cool to see. Okay, what's next? What are we getting into next? Big
What's next?
big segue guy.
Big segue. Let's see. What did we just talk about? We just talked about this is the end. Well, this is the beginning. I don't know. Man. I just want to say, I want to plug real quick. Just the other shows in the channel, real quick. Just take this
Let's
time.
do it.
Nobody's Home is another show that we do on the Cheap Seats Network. That show is hosted by myself and Evan Bothman. We also have guests on that show. We had Zach Nyman on very recently. He did the WrestleMania recap with us. That was very a lot of fun. You can find that video on this channel as well. And a lot of stuff broke in the WWE recently. A lot of layoffs and things of that nature went on and happening. So Evan and I are definitely going to be covering a lot of that soon. So go ahead and subscribe and make sure you're following the Nobody's Home string if you're a fan of wrestling. If you're not a fan of wrestling, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I think I said in the first episode that we did that if you're not a fan of wrestling, you could still probably watch the show. And I think that's true to some degree, but it's pretty wrestling heavy. So I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's
This
okay.
show, this show, however, the
I'll
cheap
speak for them.
seats,
Sorry, go ahead. I'm the people listening. Go ahead.
the cheap seats. Max, you've had two experiences on the show so far.
1.5, technically.
Okay, that's fair. You've had 1.5 experiences on this show so far.
Yeah.
What's it about? What do we do here?
Well, mostly, it's just about me and Chase talking to each other and trying to figure out what each other are talking about. So that's mostly what it's about. But I think, mainly, if we're gonna get Freudian to show off the old psychology 101,
Not bad.
I think it's just about friends, getting together, talking about stuff, a platform where we can like talk about topics, and if people want to listen they can listen, if not that's fine. But I think that's what yeah, bring me in for the close-up, man, I'm
I
ready.
want to bring in for the close up. Yeah, man.
But yeah,
A convoluted statement for a convoluted kind of show. I'll just say I'll say up front. There's some stuff that went on. Um, if you there's probably I don't know if it was a smooth transition or if it
oh
was
I'm
a
sure
bad
it was.
one. But you probably heard some music there. You probably heard maybe a little tune. Um, we're we had some difficulties, the two of us guys. We don't have to get into it necessarily. Those are things that we can say between us. Some things have to be private. If you would like to know more, there is a $50 subscription tier that
Comment
we can
below.
talk about, and you can comment below, and like maybe you'll be a part of that. What if
Ask me.
what if you don't get to see a movie for the rest of the year, like in theaters? Like, what if there's no new content coming out that way? Do you think that you are likely to, like, if you knew that, like, if that was set in stone, do you think that you'd likely start getting in the game of like, okay, well, if a movie is dropping on like a on demand or a streaming service, I will ante up for that cost. Do you think that you could see yourself kind of going into that path, or do you think that you'd kind of brush off the new releases?
Absolutely not. I mean, I love, I love movies. They're a part of my life, they're a part of your life, and if it takes me, watching them online or whatever, I'm going to do that. But the thought of, not being able to watch a movie for the rest of the year, like that sucks. There's something great about, the the act of like, going to a bar, going to get something to eat. Oh, we're going to see a movie tonight. You go and you watch it with a group of people or by yourself or whatever, and you go somewhere after and you talk about it. And like, I'm not gonna be the guy that's like, that's lost in a Netflix viewing or whatever, because you can still do that. But I just think it's cool. And the thing where it really sucks, in my opinion, are like the small theaters. Like in Pittsburgh, we have like theaters like the Manor or the Harris or just a handful of these great like family run theaters that I know they're going to take a huge hit because of this. And I
Yeah.
hope that they're going to be able to come out of it. But when I talk about like going to see a movie at a theater, unless it's like an Interstellar or something like that, where it's like a 1917, even though I haven't seen it, like something I'd want to see on like the big screen. Where what I'm really talking about are like going to a local theater and like supporting a local family or whoever running this thing, just same as you would a local bar or a
Right.
local dive or whatever. um that's the thing that sucks. But to answer your other question, like, no, I'm still gonna support like movies in general and like watching them on streaming or whatever. But it is really sad to think of the reality of like not being able to go to a theater until like 2021. I hope that's not true, but
Right.
if it is, it just blows.
It's kind of, I don't know, man. The Hunt was the last thing you saw in theaters. Did you see something after that?
No, I think it was The Hunt. I think The Hunt was the last thing I saw,
And
because literally like the day after was whenever, all of the restrictions in America,
right.
or at least Pennsylvania, started to get put in place.
So I think the last movie I saw was the Way Back, the Ben Affleck picture. That
Oh,
was
okay.
the last movie I saw in theaters, and just like kind of thinking like, what if we are kind of like at a point where um, we're not like we have to, either the movies that are going to come out for the rest of the year are going to be in that category where it's all right, well, we're just not going to push these out. We're either going to make these come out at a later date, like we saw earlier this week, like with Marvel, for example. They pushed a lot of their stuff back, and they like finalized some dates for their projects. And then there's other movies that have, like, I think Trolls World Tour
Oh,
was, yeah, was the first movie
yeah.
that was like, had not yet come out in theaters, that hit streaming, and it like broke a bunch of records and things like that. But like the
Oh,
other movies had like at least had some sort of stay in theater, but that was the first one that had like no theater stay. So that could definitely, and especially if numbers like that are sick, that could definitely become normal. We could definitely see more and more of that stuff, which I don't welcome. I don't welcome that form of viewing.
yeah.
Um, I do. I mean, I'm fine with home viewing. Like, I watch movies at home all the time. Um, I watched Rocky last night. I got to talk to you about fucking Rocky and shit. But like, I watch movies at home all the time. But I don't want to, like, I don't want my Friday thing to be, oh, this new movie's out. Like, here's like, let me just like put down that 20, and then like I'll just like go watch this movie, and then like, hey, like, buddy of mine, did you see this movie yet? It's like, oh no, I haven't had a chance to like watch it yet, or like I'm not going to watch it, or things like that.
Yeah.
Like, such a much different experience, and like, hey, it's like opening weekend. I know at least a handful of my friends who are going to go see this movie
Mhm.
opening weekend, no matter what, that I can talk to about it. So the idea that I may not be able to hit that cinema again is pretty daunting, man. And especially like that makes me think about what happens with award shows. Are award shows carried out? Are they going to, or are we going to be able to accurately declare a best actress or best actor or this or that from movies that we're watching at home? I'm sure that's how most of the viewers are watching it. That's how most of the voters are watching them anyway.
Mhm.
But like, is that what we want? Is that like, how do we look forward to anything like from that point? It's tricky stuff, man. Tricky stuff.
It is. It is, and it's interesting how this whole experience is a definite like case study of, how much can be done at home, whether it's, from a movie watching standpoint, or also seeing it from like the amount of, businesses and workers that have moved all of their workers remotely, and
Right.
they're like the majority of their people are working from home and still working from home. And I think maybe a fair amount of them are questioning like, I shouldn't speak for them, but I'm just speaking for like a few of my friends that I've talked to that are in that situation where it's like, you know, it, how much work needs to be done in the office when I could just do some of it at home, and like
Right.
maybe starting to question in like the modern day office, and
Hmm.
like that sort of thing. I'm bringing something different into the conversation, but um it is interesting how I wonder how this will shape the importance of movie theaters for people, because I think on one end people could say like, well, we did it for 6 or however long months, we just watch stuff at home, like do we really need theaters anymore, whatever, which I certainly hope that's not the case, because I think
Mm,
we do. But it's interesting, and I it will be interesting to see what comes after it. But I hope, that we just hold on to theaters, because
mm,
it's just such a nice little experience to go to a theater, support a little theater, watch something on a big screen, watch it with like a great sound system, the way it was intended to be watched,
yeah.
whatever. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they just want to, watch it on their phone, or they want to watch it on their laptop, which is fine. But I feel for the theaters, because they're great, but I hope they're
And you,
not, a dying breed.
and you mentioned second run theaters like Cinema 8, the one that we had here forever. That closed down, I think, in February. I think the end of February was like the February 27th, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it was like the last day that that theater was open.
February 27th, was that
And
it?
then you have like your was the last day it was open. So it closed before like closure started happening, which is
Yeah,
probably the best route for them because it would have had to close probably
yeah,
regardless if it would have continued. Then you have like Southside or not Southside Works. Is it Southside Works that
yeah.
closed?
So
Pittsburgh Southside Works
yeah,
closed.
it is. You know
Um,
what's crazy is that where I saw The Hunt. That's where I saw the last movie in
oh
theaters
really?
I saw was at that theater. But yeah, yeah, that
So
one
like
closed down.
that one closed and all these kind of different things that are happening to theaters that we see that are just like naturally happening, not because of any sort of unprecedented thing, but things
Yeah,
that are just because like people aren't coming here or showing up or we can't sustain the business, this or that. Like for me, I like I watch like I don't anyone who's watching a movie like it's gonna be me. Like if I'm paying for a movie to watch at home, I'm watching it by myself. Or if I'm going to the movies, like I'm likely paying for my own ticket, probably sneaking some snack in. So I mean, we're getting in there for like $11, tops. Otherwise, like if you think about a family, right? Think about a family. Think about mom and dad. Let's say two kids. Um, you're spending easily $100. If you're going for it, you're probably spending 150. If you're like really going for it,
wait,
and
hold up a minute. A mom and dad and two kids going to the movie,
not like here, not here, not like I'm talking about like
and
a mom and dad going to a movie theater, in like a bigger
yeah,
city.
okay, I see what you mean. Yeah,
So like probably like what 20 bucks for a ticket, $15 for a ticket. Drinks are $7, popcorns are $8, $10, things like that.
hmm.
Like
Yeah, I guess you're right. That's
like you're spending $100 to like on a night out with the family, basically to go to the movies. Um, but if you could instead be like, well, like instead of like taking the wife and kids to see Trolls in theaters and spending on that movie, I can just buy it at home for $20.
I know, but
And
you
then
know what? Like, to interrupt, like,
go for it.
at what point do we become the people from Wally? It's
Well,
like,
that's the
where
thing.
where does that line? And I'm not saying that like going to a movie theater is a great example of that, but it's like, cherishing those little experiences and maybe I'm biased because I just like going to the damn thing, but it's like,
Right.
damn, it's a night out, like it's an event. It's like,
Hey man, I some people don't give a fuck, dude. Some people don't look at it like that. Like I definitely and I like definitely working at a movie theater for years and years. A lot of people don't look at it like that. Like a lot of it's like sometimes people look at that shit like a chore. Like I like that's an effort. Like you want me to get my family together and then either before or after this I have to also do something with him that's going to take another like couple hours. And then we have to come to this thing that's going to take a couple hours. And I have like this kid who doesn't know shit, or like I have my wife who like I don't necessarily like to be around that often, or like I have my husband who's like spaced out and like doesn't like pay attention or whatever, things like that. Like for a lot of people, it's like a chore. Um, if you can like, if you can like say, hey, I'm buying this movie on Amazon. Everyone has some sort of either console or device in their own rooms or screen, and they can watch it individually by
I
themselves. Go
know.
have a good time. I don't like
I
that model. I don't subscribe to that. Like that's not something I would want to be about. But that's the horizon. That's
I
like
know.
what a lot of people are doing these days.
And that's where I hope, people, smart people who are like very, have the foresight to see that that's on the horizon, but find ways to still make that a communal thing, to still
Yeah.
make that like a thing that we all enjoy together. Because, and
Mhm.
this is like a sidebar thing, but just thinking about like communal experiences and stuff like that. I think there were some people who said like Game of Thrones was one of the final shows that was a like almost a global experience in
The
the way.
appointment watching kind of, yeah.
Exactly, where people were like on the same page,
Mhm.
where it's like this next episode, this season finale, whatever, like that experience is such a wonderful thing to have with people.
For
And
sure.
the situation that you just described, where like everybody's on a different screen, everybody's tuned into whatever, like on one hand, like yeah, it's cool that everybody can have their own thing or whatever, but on the other end, like it is also cool to everybody like be watching this thing and be waiting for this next week or whatever, and have it be like this big group thing that you can talk about and discuss, which I understand you still can do. You still can go on a forum and talk to people or whatever. So I don't know, it's a super like convoluted conversation, but the root of the conversation is like theaters are great because you go there and enjoy it with other people and you talk to them about it. And I think your experience of the film or the story or whatever is all around better. So I hope they don't, go away.
Yeah, I don't think and I don't think they will, I don't think that they'll go away. I do think that those some of the niche theaters that you're talking about, like in Pittsburgh, like you even have like your Rangos that just like shows like it's like a giant screen and just like shows movies from time to time. Like I saw Jaws there
Yeah.
last summer. Fuck,
Where did you see it? At Southside
uh,
or in the
no,
Waterfront?
the Rangos at the Carnegie Science Center.
Oh,
The
okay, nice.
the
Yeah,
giant screen, the shit
yeah,
was disgusting. So like shit like that. Like I couldn't imagine like not being able to like have experiences like that
yeah,
every now and again.
yeah. I agree. So, and I think so too, and I think they will stay as a, you know, at least a few of them. I fear that they're going to be like the megaplexes, the big cinemas, whatever. And
Right.
I hope the little guys don't get snuffed out. But
We're always looking
we'll
out
see.
for
It's up to
the
us. It's up to the people to support them. So we'll see. And
tell
what's
them to
great too,
support.
Chase, is
What's up?
like I feel like now more than ever, like people love. Well, I shouldn't say that, but like like media and like film and television, like it's at the forefront. Like people just love watching stuff. So
Yeah.
it's in people's minds, like people love, watching things. They love listening to stories, whatever. So I hope there's a way that people can at least be reminded like, hey, this is this little way that you can enjoy this in a different way. Whenever you're tired of your laptop or your TV screen or whatever, like this is a little independent thing that's not going to get the attention on by like a big distributor, and you can go make a night of it, go support a local business, whatever. I feel like I'm really pressing on this, but I feel like I've said like local business like 9 times, but
I'm getting a FaceTime call. I don't know if you could see that on the
oh,
screen.
nice.
We're streaming right now. Hey guys, how you doing? Tommy and Jason are on the phone. I think you guys can be heard if you say anything.
Hello?
Yeah, there you go.
What's up to my peoples?
Can you hear those guys?
Who
How's
is
it
it?
going?
Who you
Max
on with?
Max is here today.
Hi, Jason.
What's up, Max?
How's
Long
it
time
going?
no see, brother.
I know it's been too long.
All right. Well, we're just checking in, making sure you're still alive.
All right.
Well, you and your family.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
applying to get my phine number changed.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Legal process.
Thank you very much. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Have a good one.
You stay safe. That was lovely. No, I agree. I agree with you, dude. No, you definitely I don't know. There have to be some other things for you though, like some other things other than like the movie experience that you've kind of like been empty for you, like the spot for you that you've like things that you haven't been able to
Oh,
experience.
like during quarantine stuff?
Yeah, like are there
Yeah,
other
yeah.
things like of that nature for you?
Well, like just going to, if there's like a live music playing in Pittsburgh, being able to go to that, or just like going to a bar and hanging out with some people,
Yeah.
and like being able to, hang out in Walmart without the fear of, people looking at you and stuff like that. I coughed the other day. I forget where I
Mhm.
was. I think I was in like a Walmart or something. I coughed and like the looks, man. like I was clearing my throat, but just
Yeah.
the daggers, just like just people not being people just being people again. And I understand that's the situation we're in, and it's good that in a way that people are maybe not necessarily afraid, but informed and being careful. Um,
Hmm.
but I look forward to being able to go into a bar and everybody's hanging out and you can just like talk to one
Where
another.
everybody knows your name.
Exactly. I want to get
Yeah.
back to my cheers. So we'll see. But yeah, that's really what I'm missing. Just being around people. I love being around people, and it's tough not doing that. What about you?
No, man, I don't really like being around people. I don't really mind. I don't really mind this time. No, I gotta say, um, that it's definitely been like one thing for sure, and it's something that like I bought a lot of tickets to shows that probably 3 or 4 shows I bought tickets to that were ended up canceled
I
between
know
like
you and Evan.
wrestling and like
Yeah,
and concerts and things like that.
that's
Um, yeah, dude, just like bites, just like those things, because that's like something I do all the time. Like I go to a concert pretty much monthly. Um, Go out, just hang out with the boys at the bar or something like that of that nature. Um, all of those things will surely just kicking it, man. Really, just kicking it. Just like kind of being able to freely um, go go chill whenever you want,
yeah,
like whenever you want, wherever you want. I used to eat cereal in Walmart.
yeah.
Um,
Really?
yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe that could be one thing that comes out of this that maybe stays
That's what I'm thinking.
is
It's like
not eating the cereal in Walmart.
that's what I'm thinking. Like, because this is like I'm aging myself here, but this is like 7 years ago.
Isn't it sad that you say that and you were like 7 years ago and you like kind of remember that? Like I feel like
Yeah.
we're too young to be saying that. Talking
Is
about 2008 like it's like 1964. Just like I remember when Pineapple Express came out. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like I'll never forget 2010 when I saw Inception and the Theta, like things like that and shit, dude. That's definitely gonna be like us though, as like crotchety old men.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be talking about like uncut gems, like it was like
I remember,
seeing
I
the
remember
graduate.
seeing Adam Sandler's ass on screen.
Ah,
Yeah,
but
hopefully we can get back into the shits, man. Because yeah, just general. I think the little things. Enjoy the little things is one of Jesse Eisenberg's characters' rules in the Zombieland series, and I think that translates. Enjoy the little
it's
things.
where I get all my life's meaning I mine from.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Limber up, cardio, all that good shit. I watched Zombieland sequel. Have you seen the Zombieland sequel?
I have not seen the Zombieland sequel. I'd like to. I'm sure it's funny, but
I saw it in theaters and I thought it was good. I rewatched it at home and I liked it more. I think because
really, that goes
yeah.
against our whole argument we just had.
No, it doesn't because I knew what it was. When I saw it in theaters, I didn't know what it was. I was expecting a different movie than I got for sure. Different stakes, different everything. So I think that by the time I watched it the second time, I knew what I was getting into. I was grounded and I was able to enjoy myself more.
Yeah.
But are you like that? are you like, because for me, I'm a sicko. I'm a sick person in the sense that like I'll watch a movie 1,000 times over and over again before I think to watch something new that I haven't seen before. Like any streaming service I have, I'm sure there's mountains and mountains of things in my queue that I'm going to look over and watch Napoleon Dynamite instead, or something of that nature. I have DVDs that I haven't even of movies I haven't watched, things like that. Like, are you like that too, or are you like not sick?
I don't think I'm quite sick. I don't like, honestly, even my favorite movies, like, The Jerk with Steve Martin's one of my favorite movies. And I still think I've probably only ever seen it like maybe 7 or 8 times total.
Okay.
And but mostly I think I try to watch new stuff when I can. And I can't think of like, I think like television was good for that. And I feel like I did that more whenever I had cable, because there would be the movies that would come on because, I'd imagine like a network would buy it or whatever. And they would just play it, like Knocked Up. Like I remember seeing Knocked Up so many times.
Sure.
Whatever channel would start playing it. But no, I try to watch new stuff. I think sometimes I get guilty of watching the same kind of stuff over and over. But I try to like, keep an open mind and try to spend my time seeing new stuff.
Ever since I started using Letterboxd a lot just to make lists of movies and kind of keep track of like I'm keeping track right now of every movie that I've watched this year. And as I've been doing that, I think it's a lot more interesting to get into movies that like I haven't seen at all, and make sure that those movies I can like look back on, because when you look back, when you go through it, you say, well, like I love like Forgetting Sarah Marshall or like Dates Confused, but I know I've seen those. I've seen those movies multiple times years before this. But like I will know that like House of Have you seen House of Flying Daggers?
I have not seen it.
The movie is fucking disgusting. I love it. That movie is awesome. The movie is sick. It's cool. It's one of the coolest looking movies that I've seen in like in a long time. It's really cool. House of Flying Daggers. Go watch it.
Go watch it.
It's amazing. I don't remember when it came out exactly. Within like the past decade or so. But then like I find I do tend to, like you said, either watch the same kinds of stuff or just watch the same exact stuff over and over again. I'm trying to get better with expanding a little bit, but it gets hard.
My friend actually was just talking to me last night or the other night. She made like this Google Doc or this Google like spreadsheet or whatever, where she listed a bunch of movies from recommendations, and she gave them all like a corresponding number. And then she used like a random number generator for whatever the limit was. And that's how she decided that's how she's going to decide what to watch that night. And I thought that was like a really cool idea.
Yeah, that's a smart idea.
That's like, I feel like you find so many like nice little gems like that, because like Netflix is like, so it's great, but it just looks like a mass of all of these things that you kind of just end up going into probably what you wanted to watch in the first place.
Right. And it's not even like in specifically Netflix, like it's not like a lot of those apps aren't laid out to your advantage. Like in Netflix, like if you go and you're like, okay, I want to look at the movies category, I want to look for comedies, they're only showing you like 20 titles or something crazy like that. Like they're not showing you as much as they have. They're showing you what they want to show you, essentially.
Right.
So that's a problem that I find sometimes when going through those apps, because I feel like I will either catch the same thing over time, but then like sometimes I'll get frisky and like I'll come up upon something that I haven't seen before, and I'll just like press play on that bitch. Yeah. And it's like, that's usually not like that's something I have a problem with. I usually am not pressing play. I look way too long.
And that's like what you got to do, because sometimes like one thing to keep in mind too, like even if it's a bad movie, I feel like you'll not to say you learn more from the bad movies or whatever, but you also get a lot from bad movies as well, because you find like, I feel like what you like more in the movies that you do enjoy, like I don't enjoy this movie because of this reason, and maybe it gives you a little bit more of an understanding, like, oh, like, You know, now I kind of understand my taste a little more because this movie, I don't like it. You know, so it's good to watch those movies, and I would just use that as like an underlying reason to kind of branch out. Because worst case scenario, you watch a bad movie, you know, and you don't like it, and you end it, and you go to bed. You know, like don't be afraid to watch a bad movie. Just
Do not be afraid. Seen plenty of bad movies. And there are some bad movies that are just like, oh man, like I need to get through this. Like this is pressure. This sucks. This is
like,
terrible.
weren't we together when we watched Wall Street with
Money or Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. That movie is a dredge.
I want to have like a precursor for the audience because I haven't the audience whoever's listening at this point is probably
still alive.
Just us. But
just the algorithm.
We
just
watched it.
Algorithm.
You said just the algorithm.
Yeah, seeing if we fucked up or not. Yeah.
We were like what, like 12 or 13, and we're watching like Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. But
I had admittedly, like at that point, I had no idea who Oliver Stone was.
Yeah, right.
Or had seen the original Wall Street.
Echo, you know, we're like,
or was like concerned about who Michael Douglas was. Like I was like, oh, Shia LaBeouf's in this. Cool, let's go.
Yeah, cool. Like Transformers, sweet. but like. And you know, I don't know why that popped to mind, but I just remember that as like a very
it's 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it's disgusting and it's bad.
A very clear experience of like I don't like this movie, and it's not the movie's fault. I'm sure the movie's fine, but I just don't like it, which is fine, you know, whatever. But we learned, and you know what's funny is we both still remember that. So I feel like that's like a qualifying thing of like bad movies are okay too because they still give you like an experience, I guess.
Has there been a movie so bad for you that either after seeing it, you remember it completely deflating you, or that you've left early from seeing? So I got a couple.
I only remember a couple movies that I left early. One of them I think was Wall Street because we went to a different movie. And one of them was I Am Legend because when it came out, I remember it's a great movie. It's a great movie. But when it came out, I was such a wuss. Whenever they showed like the part when Will Smith goes into the building and it's like all the people hanging,
of course.
I left. I could not handle it. I left the building and I couldn't do it. But a movie that was just terrible, I don't know, man. Like, certainly not one I wouldn't try to at least watch, you know, the whole thing. There was a couple like foreign films in college that I respected, but I'm like, you know, it's a thing. You know? There's some fantastic ones. Foreign films, great, but
yeah,
there's a few that it's like I feel like it's lost in translation for me, where it's. That it felt like a chore, not necessarily in a bad way, to watch because they can be challenging. There's also fantastic ones, but
you know Rat Pack?
I don't know the Rat Pack. You know what I recently watched, Chase, was Old Boy. You ever watch Old Boy?
Did you watch the Korean version?
Oh yeah.
Did you watch
I watched the Korean version.
Yeah, I've seen Old Boy. I've seen both the Korean version and the Spike Lee version.
I wanted to bring it up when we were doing the challenge video, the basement challenge video, but I'm like, I'm picturing Old Boy. like I'm picturing the room Old Boy.
Old Boy is good. I think Josh Brolin starred in Spike Lee's version. I think that's accurate.
I think it was.
That one's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. That one's okay. It's not great. Not something to write home about.
Hey, plug. I also want to cover my tracks and say that I love foreign cinema, but that's just what came to mind. There was a handful that were like.
What's your favorite foreign cinema? Go. Your favorite movie?
Honestly, Parasite at this point. Like Parasite's fantastic.
Parasite's pretty fucking metal.
There's this movie called Seven Beauties that is really I don't know. It's a really incredible film. It's like about World War II and like whatever, but that's really good. What else comes to mind? There's a movie called Ashes and Diamonds. There's a movie. I hope my history professor isn't watching this, but I'll have to think about it. This will have to be a separate podcast that I can prepare for. But
our foreign language.
High and
I
Low, High and Low, Akira Kurosawa. That's a really good movie. Those are great ones. Foreign film's great. And what Bong Joon-ho said about like subtitles evading, making people intimidated to watch, foreign film. I think it's so true, and I think it's a shame that more people aren't watching that stuff because it's fantastic. The substance is there, the story's there. It's just people don't want to read, and it's a shame because it's just so damn good.
It's interesting you say that, and I don't want to get too far away from that subject, but I had a conversation about this today about subtitles and about closed captions and things like that. Are you a person who just naturally, when you're watching something, whether it's a movie or TV show, are you a person that keeps the captions on, or are you a person that leaves them off? Do you not like the extra screen fill?
Yeah, no. I mean, I definitely would not want to have the captions on if I was watching something. It's not that I have anything against it. I just find myself reading the caption, especially if it's in English. Like I find myself
Yeah,
reading the captions when I should be like watching, the movie. But
I tend to leave them on. I
oh, really?
tend to, depending on what's being watched is really where I draw the line. Like if I'm usually something, if it's a comedy, usually that's like no go, because sometimes you can see the joke before the joke happens. I mean, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Sometimes you're reading the joke before it occurs on screen.
right.
With stand-up specials, especially things like that, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
especially if there's like a long pause, you kind of, that title may come in a little bit earlier than the delivery, things like that. But no, man, like when I'm watching pretty much anything, like if I'm watching Game of Thrones, it's subtitles. If I'm watching really any movie, I'm usually putting them on. It depends on what it is. Like the example I used earlier was I watched Rocky last night. Captions were on, good to go. I watched the Dark Knight trilogy a couple weeks ago. No chance. Like that's just cinematic looking. There's not a lot of dialogue to like worry about.
So there has
That's
to be
just
like
like
a qualifier. The movie has to earn whether or not you're going to be reading during it or not.
I think earn is a choice word to use,
I think
but
I think it's a fair word from what you
but
just said.
I think that I don't love to just like I don't love to like I mean I feel like I'm reading as fast as I'm hearing what's happening. So for me, it never registers that I'm reading anything to me. If that
Let me
makes
ask you
sense.
this. Let me ask you this.
Go for it.
If you made a movie, if you made a feature film
Uh
and
huh.
you spent a lot of time on it and a lot of love and everything, would you want somebody to have subtitles on it while they were watching it? Or would you want
I
them to
don't
just
care.
listen to it?
I don't
Yes, you
care.
would.
Watching my movie. That's enough.
Yes,
That's
you
enough, dude. Hold on. Hold on. Hold
I
on.
think I think it detracts a little bit.
I
If you can
I
understand what they're saying, what
If it depends on what it is. If I'm making a movie that's dialogue heavy, and like if I'm making like like kind of like a dialogue heavy movie, and somebody wants to sit there and like put the titles on while they're watching it, I don't care. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. That's what they're there for, so that you have the option to use them. I don't think personally, if I'm making like I don't know, like if I'm like I'm not like I don't like you haven't seen 1917 yet, but there's no reason for me to put captions on during
how
1917.
will you know when the explosions happen though? Whenever like the
That's a
the
good
bracket
point.
boom comes up.
You do make a good point.
I'm just saying.
But I think I don't know where it started from, what it stemmed from. I wasn't always that way. I watch some anime. A lot of it is dubbed though, so it's the English language, and sometimes, very rarely, I'll watch the subversions with just the subtitles. But no, man, that's just something I do, man. That's something I've been doing for. I can't really tell when that started up for me, but I've for the past number of years, man. Yeah, that's just that's how it is for me.
It's fine. I almost feel like I'm in the minority of that. I feel like a lot of people watch, stuff with subtitles.
I don't think they do, because I was questioned about it. I was like, why is that a thing you do? Like, why is that? Like, why does that happen? We can make a poll for sure, and
Comment.
just like
Hey, comment
like,
below.
below, and just figure that out, and in that regard, um, yeah, and rerouting back to foreign
Ooh,
language,
well done.
some Train to Busan is a movie that I saw pretty recently that that I do enjoy a lot. I really do like. I tend to like anime movies.
Oh
So
yeah.
like your Spirit Away, your Princess Mononoke, your My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising type of films.
I
I
heard
really get into.
I heard Spirited Away was Studio Ghibli, right?
It is
That's
correct.
it. Didn't those all just go to Disney Plus? Wasn't there
I
like a
think that there was a deal made to get them there eventually. I do not think that they live there yet. I'm not
yeah,
super sure of.
I'm
But
a
I know
big
that they made a deal to make that happen.
yeah, I'm a big fan of Spirited Away. I think Spirited Away is fantastic.
It's a really pretty lovely movie.
Yeah, it's an incredible movie, but it's also very hard to find, online.
It is, yeah,
Which
it
that's
is.
why I was like kind of stoked when I heard that Disney Plus or whatever was picking it up because it's cool that they would have like all of those titles in one place because they're just like
Mhm.
they're great stories. But yeah, foreign film, fantastic. I love it, and more people should watch it.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you curate like a Max's recommendations, and then
That's what the
we'll have
people
you
want
we'll
to
have
see.
you curate a list, dude. No, I think they'd love it. I think they'd love it. I think that's exactly what they want to see.
I think so too.
Um, what else, man? I think we're coming kind of to
I
the
think we are.
end of the line here.
I think we're.
We've done a lot today. Some things that our audiences won't be seeing or hearing. But we were here for it all.
We were, we were here for all of it. So
We were certainly around for it all. Again, Max, go ahead and plug your terrific short film and anything else you got going on, man.
yeah, if you guys want to watch it, it's a short film. My roommate Anthony Peduzzi and I made during quarantine. It is on my Instagram handle. That is right below. You can watch it if you want to. If not, that's fine. I understand. You're very busy people. And that's it. That's all I've got going for me. So if you want to support me, that's check out the YouTube. If not, that's fine. Oh, and Cine SFX is, special effects. I feel like I've been talking a while, man. I feel like I just like auctioned something off. I need to go to bed.
You know what? The thing that's so good about like Rocky, um, give me a second. The thing that's so listen, I am a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that the Rocky slash Creed franchise is one of the best
Okay,
out there, just in existence.
I'm glad.
Um, 1976, Sylvester Stallone had an idea, and he said, "You know what? We're taking." No, I'm serious, dude.
I
Sylvester
know. I know.
Stallone,
It's an
Sylvester
incredible.
Stallone, he
It's an
fought for this
incredible.
shit, man.
I
He
know.
fought for
It's
this
an
shit,
incredible story. I know it is.
and the way that Rocky, I don't, because it's not about the fight, dude. People hear Rocky and they're like, "Oh, the boxing movie." It's not about that.
I
He's
know.
he fights Spider Rico for like the first 4 minutes of the movie, and then the fight with Apollo is like the last 10, maybe, of the movie, maybe 10 minutes. The fight probably doesn't even go. It's 15 rounds, probably not even 10 minutes of the movie. Um, it's about getting the girl, man. It's about knowing who you. It's about
Adrian.
knowing where you fit into the world, and it's about knowing, like, it's about getting the girl. It's
Didn't
a
he,
brilliant fucking movie.
didn't he like write the script in like 5 days or something crazy like
Something crazy like that. Something just like pumped out the script in like a crazy amount of time, and then like had to sell his dog and shit. And like,
what?
dude, I'm telling you,
I think that was a personal. I don't think there's a big markup on like secondhand
no.
dogs.
I'm telling you, no, I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you, it's this is like this is real shit. A man wanted to buy Sylvester Stallone's dog, and he was like, "All right, dope. I'll sell this dog, and I'll be able to like make money to do my thing." I don't know if it was after Rocky or
Okay.
dude. This is a real story. I don't know if this is after Rocky came out, but he eventually got his dog back. If you are listening to this podcast, or if you are watching, if you are still here, if you are still here, Google Sylvester Stallone dog Rocky, and it don't like not about podcasts.
Okay,
about
I will.
film.
All right.
But yeah, I'm just if you got a chance, if you got 2 hours, an hour 59 minutes and 53 seconds, watch Rocky and the credits. Don't fuck
No,
around.
watch this, then watch Rocky.
Watch this and then watch Rocky together. They probably would pair up pretty well. Honestly, you could use this as like an audio commentary, maybe. I don't know, man. I love Sylvester Stallone. I'm probably gonna watch Rocky 2 here pretty soon because you can't just like watch Rocky and then be like, all right, see ya. Like you gotta watch.
You got to do the whole gambit.
2, 3, 4, 5 Balboa, Creed 2. You know, you gotta like take care of business here. So, you already plugged, so you're done.
I'm out.
Let me plug real quick. Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. My name's Chase Brown. Brown Chase on the social media stuff. Plenty of seats on Instagram, plenty of seats _ on Twitter. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Anchor, on Google Podcasts, a lot of the podcast places. I'm pretty sure all of them. I'm pretty sure if you listen to your podcast in certain places, if you search us up, you'll be able to find our show. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing for you, but pretend it's a good thing. Go rate us 5 stars. Leave us a nice word or two. And like Abby Wellner suggested last week, maybe we leave a nice poem. That'd be cute. That'd be enjoyed upon by us as a group, as a collective.
A haiku.
575, yes. I appreciate all of the listeners and the watchers. If any of you have made it to this point, you should get some sort of stimulus check from us.
I know
in
you
the mail. You'll be getting something. Just give us your account and routing information. DM us that, and we'll get you your check, your direct deposit. But I don't really have anything else. If you guys want to check out some other shows in this channel, that'd be awesome. We do the Cheap Seats here. We do Nobody's Home here as of right now. Those are the 2 shows we have going as of right now, but we're very early in the stages of the Cheap Seats. This is week 3 for us, I think. As we go and as we continue to grow, there's going to be other shows, not all hosted by me. As we continue to build and do different things, we'll have some new voices, some new faces. It'll be a good time, and I think that you should all get pretty excited for it. Whether we're locked down or not, we're going to still keep coming at you with the content, just because it's something we like to do, something we have fun doing as friends. Max and I had a good time here.
We did.
I'll probably never invite him back, just for circumstantial reasons.
Understood.
But this time, I think this time was okay.
It was fun.
But that's all we got, folks. Thanks again for watching us. Come back, please. I'm Chase Brown for Max Yancey. This has been the Cheap Seats. And hey, if you're looking for some place to go, join us in the Cheap Seats. There's plenty of room.